to another Photoshop lesson. Today we're going to have a look at adding some textures to a portrait using some new techniques. Okay, first of all we're going to open our file. I'm going to open recent, got a purple flower face here. What we've got here is a picture of a close-up of a flower, so you've got all the textures of the petals here, and then there's a portrait of my face that I took a moment ago, and you can see what we're going to do is we're going to make the flower go over the face. So if I show you what it will look like roughly, if I change the opacity, you can see that I'm going to add a texture of a flower over my face. Now we're going to use a really cool technique to do this, and first thing we need to do is make that back to being fully opaque, hide the eye so we can't see that layer, click on the layer with the face on. We're going to use the Lasso Tool to very carefully draw around the edges of our face to select just the face. Okay, you can do this really carefully. You can see going around my chin, all the way around, making sure we get all the right pieces. And we're going to go up like this, around the hair, and back around. So you see we have a flashing selection here. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to copy that layer onto a new layer. So we're going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and you can see I've now got a layer with just my face on it. Okay, leaving that selected, I'm going to click on the layer with the flower on it. I'm going to go up to Layer, and I'm going to use a Create Clipping Mask tool. I'm going to click on it, and what it will do is it will make a mask that just covers the area where my face is. You can see my face is, and then I can move the flower around inside this area, and I can edit it. So it's much more sophisticated than just copying and pasting the layer. Now, once I've got my mask, I'm going to open the back layer up so we can see the background again. What I'm going to do actually is very quickly experiment with different layer modes. Now, the first layer mode I'm going to look at is called Multiply. What Multiply does is it adds the texture to my face. Now, I can experiment with the opacity, so if I can make it slightly lighter, so you can see that I can see my face and I can see the flower coming through, which creates this really weird pattern. If I'm not happy with the size of the flower, I can make it bigger, line it up, and make it all sorts of different textures. So that's Multiply. I can then also experiment with one called Overlay. It's a different technique. I can try it on full opacity. I can experiment with different opacities. And there is also Dissolve, which just disappears altogether, and Darken, which adds bits of the layer to it. There, as you can see, there are many different layer modes to experiment with. Soft light can work sometimes quite nicely, and so can hard light. I think I quite like the hard light version, so I'm going to move my texture where I would like it. To about there, change the opacity slightly. Now sometimes you might think, oh well that's cool, but the colour of the face is affecting it. So if I go back to my layer with my face, and I change my image adjustments to black and white, then I've just got the colour of the flower as the texture. I will experiment with Overlay again. No, I definitely prefer hard light on this time with 100% opaque, and that creates a really pleasing effect. I'm going to keep moving it until I'm 100% happy. Right about there. So different textures, different faces, all create different effects. One last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just tidy my image up, draw a box over it like this, and go Image, Crop, and Control D, and then File, Save As, and we're going to call it Purple Flower Face. blended. Save that. And there you go. Thanks for watching. Obviously, experiment with different textures, different faces, different effects. Have fun. Okay, thank you, and see you next time on Nature of Flowers Photoshop lessons. Don't forget to subscribe.